Hello and welcome to my kitchen. This is a space in my apartment where I spend countless hours a week. Cooking is something that I find a lot of joy in, so I take a lot of pride in this space. This is the first kitchen that I've ever had that's been truly mine, and this video is all about the setup and what stuff I recommend for your first kitchen. Alright, so the general kind of layout of the kitchen is we have the island space here, which is literally just island space. There's no sink here, which I love. That to me was like an essential thing picking out apartments. But this is just a big workspace where I can eat, I can host, I can use for food prep. Most of the time I use it for food prep. Now, as you can kind of see, there's a fair bit of cabinet space in this apartment. I've been living here over 6 months now, and I still don't maximize all of this cabinet space. I have kind of like my pantry style cabinet here, which is like tall, to where I store the majority of my dry goods and ingredients. I have my other cabinets over here. I also store my kitchen knives on a magnetic knife strip rather than using a knife block. I try and keep nothing out on countertops as much as, possible. Really, the only things that stay out are my cutting boards just to have easy access. And I think that a magnetic strip looks way cooler than a knife block does as well. I also have my kind of basic cooking essentials that are used for every recipe. They live right here. Things like my cooking oils, salt, pepper. I keep bacon fat also because I cook a lot in cast irons. I like to have that around. Otherwise though, everything is stored and put away. I would say overall philosophy wise, whenever I think about how my kitchen is laid out, I try and think of it from an organized perspective. I should know where everything is at all times. And I also try and think of it from a no clutter perspective. Have as little tools and items as possible, just making decision making quicker and easier. Now with all that being said, let's jump into cookware items that I use on a weekly basis. So these are my three kind of staple cookware pieces. These are things that I use regularly for all different sorts of recipes. They all have their pros and cons. We'll talk about that briefly right here. So the main workhorse in my kitchen is stainless steel pots and pans. I have this small one, which I pulled out for demonstration purposes, but I have a few other pans as well as pots, all in stainless steel. When I moved into my apartment, I made the very deliberate choice to make myself a stainless steel kitchen instead of a non-stick kitchen. I kind of come from a long line of non-stick kitchens. There's nothing wrong with non-stick pans, at least I'm not gonna argue that here. But when it comes to stainless steel, these pans will last me for years and years and years. You can't scrape the coating off of them. They're much more durable than non-stick pans. I can use any cooking utensils that I want on these. And as long as you know how to cook in them, they're super easy to clean and you can cook literally anything in these. From hard searing steaks, fried eggs, really anything can be made in stainless steel as long as you understand the technique, which really only takes 1 or 2 times to do. That's not even getting into the whole like microplastics and forever chemical thing. I'm not a doctor and I'm not an expert, so I'm not gonna pretend to know. But if you were looking into your first apartment and you're looking into buying pots and pans, just consider stainless steel, do your research, and if you enjoy cooking, I highly recommend investing in stainless steel. I use cast iron pans all the time for my cooking. This is my favorite pan for cooking beef in across the board. Ground beef, steaks, burger patties, literally anything. I love cooking in cast iron. I also love cooking breakfast in cast iron. It's just such a great versatile pan option. It's not as all-purpose as stainless steel, but there are things it does better, which is why I keep it around. It definitely requires some maintenance and some upkeep, and it's much more difficult to clean whenever the time comes for that. It's not really so much as difficult, it's just a long process. But I reach for this cast iron pan all the time, and it's made a variety of dishes. What's really good about cast iron is that it's relatively cheap, and you kind of can't destroy them. People say that if you drop them, they'll shatter. I'm not gonna do that demonstration for this video, nor can I confirm whether or not that is true. But if you give it the TLC that it needs, these pans will last you your entire life and you'll be able to hand them off to your kids, which is pretty cool. Nothing in this world is made this way anymore. Lastly is my Dutch oven. And this is such a great addition to add to your kitchen if you're a serious home cook. Adding a Dutch oven adds an entirely new way that you are able to now cook in comparison to any of my other options that I've showed you today. Dutch ovens are so versatile and you're able to do a ton of things with them. My favorite things to do are pot roasts and short rib dishes, but you can also bake bread, make pasta, pretty much anything that you would use a big pot for. The main thing that's great about a Dutch oven is how good it is at retaining heat and how easy it is to take in and out of the oven. I'm one of those Gen Zs who hates on crock pots big time. I grew up not being a very big fan of braised dishes, but I've made a fair few pot roast and short rib braised dishes in this Dutch oven since I've lived alone, and it has been head over heels an improvement. You just have so much more control over the flavor and the overall cooking experience with this pot. Another thing is it's very similar to the cast iron pan in the sense that you'll never break this, you'll never kill this, and you'll be able to hand this down for generations to come. So that is some of my cookware staples and the philosophy behind them. Now let me grab some of my favorite kitchen utensils and we'll talk about those as well. Now for utensils. When shopping for cooking utensils, there are so many options between shopping online, going to specialty kitchen stores, even going through like aisles at Home Goods. There are so many options. With that, it's very easy to collect like one of every shape and style, which I think is a mistake. I discovered tools that I didn't like right away and immediately upgraded them to stuff that fits my needs better. What I have in front of me is kind of my ultimate go-to setup, and pretty much every recipe that I cook uses some variation of these tools. The number one kitchen tool is a chef's knife or some sort of knife, obviously, to do vegetable prep, meat prep, whatever that you need. This is the knife that I reach for pretty much everything that I do, from veg prep to meat prep, literally anything. What I like about a chef's knife is the blade length. It allows me to get through a lot of knife work in less strokes because of the blade size. And I also love the shape. It's very easy to hold in the way that you should hold a knife. If you're only gonna have one knife, this is the knife to have. Get a chef's knife. Along with my knife, something that accompanies it steady is a bench scrape. I actually got this from Target and I love this thing because it doesn't have anywhere for anything to like fall off or break or loosen or anything like that. I use a bench scrape mostly for collecting things off of a cutting board and moving them around. That's what I use it for most of the time. Really what it's called is a dough cutter, so you're able to cut and portion dough whenever you're baking, but I pretty much just use it as a way to transport goods from one place to another. Wooden tools are probably my most commonly used tool in my kitchen. From sauteing veg to doing ground beef, this is pretty much the tool that I reach for all the time. You want to be careful whenever you're using wood tools about putting them in the dishwasher. I definitely do that. I put them in the dishwasher all the time. This one I think actually just came out of the dishwasher. But you just need to be careful and pay attention because they will splinter here and they'll kind of like wear down, and that obviously gets in your food. That's no good. But wooden tools are really good, especially if you use nonstick pans. This won't scrape your pans up or anything like that. And then probably my favorite kitchen tools are silicone spatulas. This is kind of a traditional one, like a traditional shape with the wedged edges. And I also have this one, which is like my honest favorite, which is like a little bit of a cup style. This one is great because it's really good for like serving and making something look pretty on a plate. What's great about silicone tools, especially for somebody who uses stainless steel, is it really helps me clean out the sides of the pots and keep all of the ingredients down whenever I'm working on rice or pastas or gravies or whatever. This allows me to keep the food where the heat is, have less overall waste and less gross dishes. And they're also 100% dishwasher safe, so really nothing is gonna like splinter or cut on these. And I don't know if this is true, but at least this is what I found, is these don't melt if you like leave them on top of your pans. I don't really do that, but I have, you know, in the past, and these haven't melted. These have been literally daily drivers for me since I moved in. I can't recommend silicone spatulas enough. This is kind of my go-to when it comes to a spoon-shaped tool. This is all sitting on top of one of my cutting boards. This is actually a pretty new cutting board that I just picked up. I get all my cutting boards from Target, and I'm sure that that's like not the greatest possible quality thing. But this cutting board is huge. It's like double the size of my previous cutting board. And this was like $30, which is unbelievable. But I do know some things about cutting boards that I will recommend to you here. For the love of God, do not get glass or stone cutting boards. It destroys your knives. It makes a terrible noise. It's so easy to slip on them because there's nowhere for the knife to cut into the board. Do not get stone or glass cutting boards. People do it and that terrifies me. Plastic cutting boards are okay. The microplastics is super clear with that. Damage and they break. But the good thing about them is you can put them in the dishwasher, so it's kind of like a catch-22. I use wood boards for everything here. I have multiple different options, and that's just what I use because it's better for my knives and I'm not eating plastic. So that's just my decision. Plastic boards I think are fine. Do your own research and make your own decision there. But glass boards and stone boards need to go into the trash if you use them. I've been living in this apartment and building this kitchen for the past 8 months. It's not perfect by any means, but it works for me. And that is the philosophy that it's important to have whenever you're building your first kitchen. Take it slow, take it recipe by recipe, add tools as needed. And if you enjoy the process, make investments that let you expand your skill set. For your first kitchen, you don't need to spend thousands of dollars of gear to keep yourself fed and have fun in the kitchen. I'm really happy with the kitchen that I've built since I've lived here, and I've cooked some great dishes and I've had some great moments. So thank you all so much for watching this video. My name's Austin, and if you enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Let me know your favorite kitchen tools in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you all back here again next week. Peace.